Imagine the 1970s, a V8 engine thundering to life, its guttural growl vibrating through your chest as tires scream across neon-lit city streets or sun-scorched desert highways. This was a time when car chases weren't born from CGI, they were carved from sweat, steel, and raw courage. Stunt drivers flirting with death on every corner, piloted muscle cars through railroads, feeling every skid, every near miss, every crash with bone-deep intensity. No green screens, no computer tricks, just a visceral roar of raw horsepower and unflinching daring. The 1970s transformed pursuits into cinematic poetry, fusing rebellion, danger, and mechanical might. From chaotic urban showdowns to outlaw sprints across empty highways, these chases immortalized an era defined by fearless filmmaking, leaving audiences gripping the edges of their seats, hearts pounding with every turn. Duel 1971, Steven. Spielberg's Duel is a terrifying primal dance of man versus machine, tapping into the 1970s pervasive fear of invisible threats and societal alienation, intensified by post-Vietnam tension. Dennis Weaver plays David Mann, a mild-mannered salesman in a 1971 Plymouth Valiant with its modest 225 cubic inch slant-six engine, 145 horsepower, and 215 lb-ft of torque, struggling against forces he can barely comprehend. Every screech of tires, every gear shift, and every evasive swerve ratchets up the fear. The antagonist, a massive, rusted 1955 Peterbilt 281 tanker roaring with 350 horsepower, 1050 lb-ft of torque, driven by the unseen but merciless Kerry Lofton at 80 miles per hour. Filmed along California's Sierra Highway and Soledad Canyon with a $450,000 budget. Every shot is raw and intimate, the audience feeling man's rising panic with each second. Spielberg, just 24 and debuting in feature film, transformed Richard Matheson's short story into a psychological thriller where the truck becomes an unfeeling, almost supernatural predator. A particularly tense sequence has the Valiant weaving through traffic, the engine's roar echoing man's fear, captured on 35mm film with painstaking attention to sun-scorched visuals. Lofton's 400 hours of stunt training shine in high-speed maneuvers, one nearly fatal as the truck's brakes overheat, threatening a camera rig. The crew endured desert heat over 110 degrees, sandstorms clouding lenses, and fines for unpermitted shoots, while Weaver suffered heat exhaustion. Chrysler loaned 3 Valiants, 2 destroyed, and the Peterbilt itself met a fiery demise in one explosive take. Grossing $3 million, Variety praised its lean terror, a film that still makes viewers' hearts pound decades later. Fans retraced the Sierra Highway route, clutching steering wheels in imagination, feeling the same pulse-pounding dread. Duel is the ultimate relentless cat-and-mouse chase. Which moment had your pulse racing the most? Michael Cimino's Thunderbolt and Lightfoot 1974 Cimino's Montana set chase embodies the 1970s anti-hero spirit and restless defiance. Clint Eastwood's Thunderbolt, a seasoned bank robber, and Jeff Bridges' Lightfoot, a free-spirited drifter, commandeer a 1973 Pontiac Trans Am 455 Super Duty, its 455 cubic inch V8 pumping 310 horsepower and 450 lb-ft of torque through vast, unforgiving landscapes. Each high-speed turn and precarious swerve carries the thrill of imminent danger, a brush with fate. Later, a 1973 Buick Riviera and Plymouth Fury crashed through Montana roads with authentic, unscripted chaos. Touching 120 mph, the Trans Am sprinting from a 0-60 in 6.2 seconds. The audience feels every adrenaline surge, every heart-stopping moment. A memorable scene sees the Fury rolling into a ditch, captured in raw immediacy by handheld cameras, Montana's unpredictable weather adding a pulse-pounding layer of risk. Crew members sprained ankles on jagged terrain, yet the thrill translates on screen. Grossing $25 million, the film was hailed as a raw adventure by the New York Times, inspiring future chase films. Fans and Trans Am enthusiasts celebrate these moments at car shows, reliving the exhilaration of outrunning danger. Thunderbolt and Lightfoot is an electrifying ode to speed, risk, and the human desire to defy fate. Which vehicle made your heart race the most? Paul Bartel's Cannonball, 1976, inspired by the outlaw Cannonball Baker Sea to Shining Sea races. Bartel's Cannonball is chaos incarnate, a riotous celebration of anti-authority recklessness. David Carradine's Coy Buckman tears across the country in a 1970 Pontiac Firebird Trans Am, 400 cubic inch V8 producing 345 horsepower and 430 lb-ft of torque, wreaking havoc at 120 mph with a 0 to 60 MP time of 6 seconds. Every crash, every near miss is real. No digital crutches, only the raw thrill of speed and danger. Stunt coordinator Gary Davis meticulously choreographed multi-vehicle wrecks across live traffic, using 3 Panavision cameras to capture every heart-stopping angle. A particularly spectacular flip sees the Trans Am tumbling end over end amidst fire and debris, leaving viewers on the edge of their seats. The production faced dust storms, scorching 100-degree chill of heat, and police warnings, but the crew's tireless effort birthed a pure, unfiltered adrenaline rush. Grossing $4 million, the Los Angeles Times praised its satirical yet thrilling energy, cementing its influence on later action films. Cannonball is unbridled 1970s grit. Which crash made your stomach drop? Walter Hill's The Driver, 1978. Hill's The Driver is noir elegance on wheels, a haunting study of alienation and precision under pressure. Ryan O'Neill's Nameless Getaway Driver, a stoic loner, pilots a 1974 Ford Galaxy 500, 351 cubic inch V8, 250 horsepower, 355 lb-ft torque through Los Angeles neon-lit streets, pursued relentlessly by Plymouth Furies driven by Bruce Dern's obsessive cop. The audience can almost feel the tension, the adrenaline tightening their chest as O'Neill executes J-turns, reverse 180s, and precision drifts at 100 mph. The parking garage demolition of a Mercedes-Benz W1008 250S was achieved with painstaking, real-world precision, 200 hours of rehearsal, and high-stakes courage. LA traffic, strict permits, and low-light conditions pushed the crew's nerves as taut as the tires on the Galaxy. The Hollywood Reporter called it a minimalist triumph, and it grossed $7 million, influencing later masterpieces like Driving and Baby Driver. Fans reenact these sequences at car meets, hearts pounding, imaginations racing. The Driver is a ballet of steel and skill. Which sequence left you breathless? Jack Starrett's Race with the Devil, 1975. Starrett fused horror and high-speed action, channeling the 1970s occult paranoia. Peter Fonda and Warren Oates' Roger and Frank, with their wives Lara Parker and Loretta Swit, stumble upon a satanic ritual in rural Texas. Chased by a murderous cult, the 1973 Dodge Travco motorhome, a 27-foot mechanical Leviathan with a 440 cubic inch V8, 275 horsepower, and reinforced frame, becomes both vessel and weapon, smashing cultist trucks on perilous backroads. Every heart-stopping maneuver, every scraping turn is laden with genuine danger, immersing viewers in fear and exhilaration. Filmed practically with real pyrotechnics and intense stunt work. One stunt driver escaped with minor burns, another crew member bruised ribs, all contributing to the palpable tension on screen. Grossing $6 million, critics hailed it as unique terror, blending suspense, horror, and adrenaline-fueled thrill. Fans recreate the nerve-shredding sequences at rallies, savoring every pulse-racing moment. Race with the Devil proves even an RV can deliver heart-pounding cinematic terror. Which chase made you grip your seat in sheer terror? Hal Needham's Smokey and the Bandit, 1977 Needham, orchestrated a comedic chase classic, riding the 1970s CB radio and trucker culture wave, a love letter to rebels, open roads, and freedom. Burt Reynolds' Bandit, charismatic and fearless, drives a 1977 Pontiac Firebird Trans Am SE, Its 6.6-liter V8 pumping 200 horsepower and 325 lb-ft of torque, the T-top gleaming under the southern sun. Every rev and tire squeal radiates confidence as Bandit distracts the relentless Sheriff Buford T. Justice, hauling illegal Coors beer across Georgia's winding backroads at 110 milliliter. A pulse-racing dance of wit and speed. Needham, a stuntman turned director, with 600 hours of stunt experience, relied on 4 Trans Ams, pushing the $4.3 million production to thrilling extremes. The Mulberry Bridge jump, powered by a 750 horsepower NASCAR engine, a custom roll cage, and 200 pounds of rear ballast, ended in spectacular destruction, immortalized on 35mm of film. Georgia's 90-degree of humidity tested crew endurance, and a dehydrated team member nearly collapsed. Unsuspecting civilians added spontaneous energy. The shocked wave of a passerby captured real delight. Grossing $126 million, Variety praised its infectious energy, fueling Trans Am sales and spawning sequels. Fans flocked to Texarkana rallies to see replica Trans Ams, feeling the adrenaline in every rev. Smokey and the Bandit is a joyride of rebellion. Which Bandit stunt had you cheering the loudest? Gone in 60 Seconds, 1974. Toby Haliki's Gone in 60 Seconds is a 40-minute vehicular maelstrom, a pure testament to obsession, adrenaline, and risk. Haliki stars as car thief Mandrian Pace, piloting Eleanor, a 1973 Ford Mustang. Mach 1 351 cubic inch Cleveland V8 delivering 300 horsepower and 380 lb-ft of torque. Every 100 mph swerve and crushing collision of 93 real cars, sedans, trucks, police cruisers is visceral chaos, forcing the audience to flinch and hold their breath. Haliki, performing most stunts himself with 500 hours of preparation, endured a 100mm crash into a light pole that fractured vertebrae, pausing production for 10 days. Shot on a shoestring $150,000 budget, with 3 cameras capturing the carnage in vibrant 400 ASA film, unscripted near misses with civilians at it heart-stopping. Realism. A climactic 30-foot jump over a car pile destroyed Eleanor in one take. Grossing $40 million, the Chicago Tribune hailed its raw chaos, inspiring the 2000 remake. Fans flocked to car shows, marveling at Eleanor replicas, reliving the thrill and terror. Gone in 60 Seconds is a demolition derby of obsession and courage. Which crash made your stomach twist the most? Richard C. Sarafian's Vanishing Point, 1971. Sarafian crafted a poetic, high-octane elegy for freedom, capturing post-Vietnam alienation and 1970s counterculture rebellion. Barry Newman's Kowalski, haunted yet defiant, bets he can drive. A 1970 Dodge Challenger RT 440 Magnum from Denver to San Francisco in under 15 hours. Every mile pulses with personal defiance. The 440 cubic inch V8 roaring 375 horsepower and 480 lb-ft of torque, 0 to 60 mph in 5.8 seconds, as he carves through deserts and highways with the world chasing him. 5 reinforced Challengers piloted by NASCAR veteran Kerry Lofton with 300 hours of training tore through landscapes with no digital safety nets. Dust storms, 110 degree heat, and local fines threatened production, while 16mm camera setups captured raw, immersive visuals. Grossing $12 million, Vanishing Point was hailed as poetic rebellion, inspiring Death Proof and boosting Dodge sales. Fans retraced Kowalski's route, hearts pounding with imagined danger. Vanishing Point roars as a manifesto of liberty. What did you feel as Kowalski charged toward his final stand? William Friedkin's The French Connection, 1971. Friedkin redefined action cinema with a seismic documentary-style thriller. Gene Hackman's Popeye Doyle, battling inner demons and corruption, commandeers a 1971 Pontiac Le Mans to chase Alain Charnier's Hitman through Brooklyn's chaotic streets and elevated subway tracks. The 350 cubic inch V8, 260 horsepower, 352 lb-ft of torque rumbles under Doyle's relentless pursuit. Every turn a heartbeat in a high-stakes game. Filming was guerrilla style, with live traffic adding tension that felt palpable. Stunt driver. Bill Hickman navigated pedestrians and vehicles with edge-of-your-seat precision. Unscripted collisions amplified the authenticity. On a $1.8 million budget, Cruise endured 16-hour days and logged 120 hours behind the wheel, grossing $51 million, winning 5 Oscars. It influenced films like Heat and The Bourne Identity. Fans traced Brooklyn's Stillwell Avenue to feel the thrill firsthand. Which maneuver had you clutching your seat? John Howe's Dirty Mary, Crazy Larry in 1974. Howe crafted a high-octane rebel saga, a combustible cocktail of speed, defiance, and youthful energy. Peter Fonda's Larry Rader, a washed-up NASCAR driver, and Susan George's free-spirited Mary drive a 1969 Dodge Charger RT 440 Magnum, 375 horsepower, 480 lb-ft torque, 0-60 mph in 5.6 seconds, tearing through California's Central Valley, pursued by real CHP cars, while a low-flying Bell Jet Ranger captures thrilling aerial shots. Inspired by Bonnie and Clyde, Hoffman stunt coordinator Paul Baxley's 400 hours of preparation resulted in jaw-dropping sequences. The finale, a single-take collision with a real Alco S1 locomotive, left audiences gasping. Filmed with 3 35mm cameras, no dummies. Production braved 95-degree before of heat, dust storms, and fines, yet the adrenaline translated to the screen. Grossing $28 million, critics called it a fiery rebel romp, inspiring future chase films. Charger enthusiasts recreate the sequences of Mopar rallies, hearts racing. Dirty Mary, Crazy Larry Burns with unrestrained rebellion. What moment made your heart leap? The 1970s didn't just create car chases, they forged legends that still roar in our souls. From the Le Mans urban menace to Kowalski's defiant Challenger, these sequences were born of real risk, courage, and sweat. No modern effect can replicate the thrill of a human hand gripping a wheel as metal collides. These 10 chases are living time capsules. Rewatch, feel the V8 rumble, and join the conversation. Which chase still sets your heart racing?